Welcome to the LANCave, where we live in as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Heat sink.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some heat sinks. Disclaimer, we do talk
I live
about
in Texas, there is a heat sink.
There it is. Disclaimer, while we do talk about video games every single week on Wednesdays at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, depending on where you are in the world. We talk about video games. Neither of us are hardware experts. Some of us do have a little bit of knowledge, but heat sinks is that's the hype this week, or the scuttlebutt, if you will. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. If you don't know, we're talking about the new PS5. We'll be talking about that later. We talk gaming. That's what we do, and we're nerds. So come hang out with us.
What?
If you're hanging out.
Aside from gaming, we always got to include the other things. Have you been watching What If?
I have. I've not watched today's episode, so we've been watching them on lunch break.
I got you. And I watched it on my lunch today.
The one time I don't.
Did you watch? So you watched last week's though.
Loved last week's. Yeah.
No spoilers or anything. Last week's episode was dope.
Yeah. And
heckin' dope.
It was good, and I'm not saying this to brag, but a lot of times when I watch movies or TV shows or something, I'm calling stuff well before it happens, and I'm because one, it may be cliche, two, it may be just the best choice from a writing perspective. That got me. I didn't get it until one moment towards the end where Nick Fury did something, and I was like, nope. As soon as he made a move, I was like, nope. And that's when I pieced it together. And it took me just before that. I was thinking of the Nick Fury moment. I'm mixing it up myself now. I didn't piece it together until until Hope. Yeah.
Gotcha. Wild episodes. I think really cool stuff. I really like that the narrator is the Watcher. I think that's super fitting. I thought that at first I always have to get hooked in on animated television, and nothing against Peggy Carter because I love her and I love Haley Atwell. Awesome. But whenever I was watching, I started the first episode and just something about the animation just wasn't really getting to me. But then so I dropped it in week one, but I came back this week, over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Watched it all the way through, and I was like, oh, okay, what a cool take with Steve Rogers. I really loved that direction that they took that, and then I burned through the other two episodes yesterday, and then I watched episode 4 today. So that's where it's one of those things where you got to give stuff a second shot. So I'm also giving Clone Wars now the 4th or 5th shot because I still have yet to ever make it through the series. Because I just like Rebels animation and stuff so much better.
Interesting.
So I'm trying it again. I just jumped back into where I left off, so I'm in season 2 of Clone Wars. So
gotcha. And that's one that I barely scratched the surface of, which is sad because I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
They also have the Bad Batch on there now as well, which I think I'll appreciate more if I manage to get through Clone Wars. I gotta shout out Disney Plus, man, in terms of the value right now, and we talk about where Netflix was years ago, and it's $7.99 and $8.99 price point. The fact that Disney Plus is $8? Is it $8.99? Is it $9?
I want to say it's $8. I'll have to double check. I got a deal.
All the content that is on there, all the documentary content. If you're a nerd like that, including my wife loves the ride stuff, the behind the scenes ride stuff.
I was going to mention that,
and how the parks come together. She is really into that stuff, and then all the other. There's the Disney weddings, but. So many good movies and television shows. I was just scrolling through the whole entire series. They have every Spider-Man cartoon, I think, right now. They have. I was watching
the Fantastic Four. I was watching Fantastic Four 1994, 95, Galactus and everything. Oh, yeah, they've got everything.
It's
except for Japanese Spider-Man. They don't have Japanese Spider-Man.
It's a good value. I'm pretty impressed with it. I'm decreasingly decreasingly logging in.
Okay.
I don't log into Netflix as much these days. I've been using HBO a lot, watching some Titans. I'm caught up on that all the way up to last week's episode, so I'm waiting for this one to drop. I've been watching a lot of Disney Plus. Just the Netflix is just kind of going down while everything else is going up.
And Netflix is one, I will say, I think I've canceled Netflix once in the past like 7 years. Like, for some reason, like,
it's just a constant, dude.
It's a constant, but I for the past couple months, I have fired it up to look at things, and then I went and found something else. For those who are talking about a lacking streaming service, Disney Plus. Okay, like Netflix has like tons of stuff, and Amazon, Hulu has more than Amazon, I think. And then you got like Disney Plus, and then you have Sony Bravia, which I talked about briefly when I got my new TV. It's beautiful.
They have a streaming service?
Sony,
or are you talking about the smart
it's
TV
called
pack?
Bravia Core. They have a streaming service, and put that in quotes. It is a lossless, uncompressed high def 4K streaming. So if you watch 4K on Disney Plus, on Netflix, you're watching compressed 4K, compressed audio, compressed video, so it's not really that great. Sony Bravia is like, yeah, we'll do it. We're going to do it uncompressed. And it gives you some stuff free and some stuff that you have to buy with credits. I want to say there's like less than 100 movies on it. And I'm sorry, when you're doing a streaming service nowadays, that's nothing. I scrolled through that in about 10 minutes, and I'm like, now what? Because I scrolled through and was like, let's see what they have. Nothing was piquing my interest, or there were things I was like, oh, I'll save that for later. And I'm sorry, when you have 100 titles, that really wasn't worth it. The free stuff was okay. I got 5 free credits with the TV, so I watched Spider-Man, Far From Home, and Life, and a few others, which they look great, but there's not that many of them, and I don't see a lot of new things coming in. If they expect you, and this is when they expect you to subscribe and not only have a subscription, but also buy credits. That's too much.
Yeah. I was trying to look at like what's on Netflix. Like they have a lot of good of the Canadian sitcoms, so like Kim's Convenience and Working Moms. They don't have now I can't even think of the show, but there's one that's on like Hulu.
Yeah.
But you know, there's still, I'm not saying Netflix is completely done, but like the price on Netflix, I think I dropped the 4K streaming on Netflix because I was tired of paying like $16 or $17.
Yeah,
for something that I was turning on like once every couple weeks.
And that's where I'm like, I'm thinking about turning it down just for that reason. But I don't know.
I went down to the 1080 streams.
Yeah. Speaking of Kim's Convenience, I haven't watched it, but I've heard good things. But tomorrow or Friday, depending on where you are, Shang-Chi comes out. I'm watching it in theater. You said you're gonna have to wait. Right,
Disney Plus, baby, bring it on. As soon as you like turn it on, that I want to know, you know, what you heard about it, but so far the reviews I'm seeing are solid.
I've heard good things. I'm already a Marvel fan. I'm a martial arts fan, like martial arts movies. So like, you know, mixing that all together. I've heard good things as well, and also like. I haven't read any spoilers, but the title being Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings being the Mandarin, I've been wanting redemption for Iron Man 3 and what they did with Mandarin. And they gave us that apology with the return, what is it called? Hail to the King, the one-shot, which is on Disney Plus. So I think they did that to not confuse people. So I'm hoping this will set us right in regards to that villain. And I think the trailers have looked great. I like the cast, so I'll let you know what I think of it. I'm seeing it tomorrow night, so
can't be worse than Iron Fist. So
you see this. Well, he actually has a background. Like he actually has done Taekwondo and Wing Chun. So like before this, I'm not saying he's like a master, black belt, whatever. But if you have some background and you are athletic, as opposed to Iron Fist, they were like showing him stuff like on set. Like he didn't like they didn't even have choreography or practice or what's his name? Oscar Isaac's training for Moon Knight. I mean, that's how you do it. You need to train for quite a while to make it look right. Otherwise, you get really bad editing and the performances are not authentic. So I'm hopeful on it.
And I'm pretty sure Simu Liu was like a stuntman, or he wanted to be.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
It's like whenever he like wanted to do acting, like he wanted to be like a stuntman as well. So there's got to be some stuff in there. I just wish it was coming to Disney Plus. Did you? We'll get to games in a second, but did you hear about what Paramount did today?
No, I didn't.
Paramount once again postponed Top Gun. What they did like 3 movies.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so Top Gun got pushed to 2022. What else? Let's see.
Yeah, because
they pushed Mission Impossible 7. So 2 of Tom Cruise's movies, and then I think that there was even like a third one that they pushed, and now I'm just not finding it. But dude, just let them come out, bro.
Yeah.
Like I can understand if like just put them somewhere. Like Paramount has a Plus service, do some kind of access there, charge for it. Like you'll make your money. But the thing that it signaled to me though, dude, is that what does Hollywood know that we don't? Are we gearing on that theatrical shutdown again, and they're just ahead of the curve? Like I'm really curious.
Yeah, I think.
Jackass! It was Jackass that got pushed as well.
It wasn't James Bond, so still crossing fingers that doesn't get bumped. I feel like Hollywood's being cautious, and they could be making their money by putting movies on streaming. And I'm not saying that. Excuse me. I'm not saying that people are going to grab like a Netflix subscription for this, but like the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was picked up by Netflix, so that's going to be on Netflix. So I'm not going to cancel my Netflix subscription because that's coming out. That's niche. Yeah. I get that. But Paramount has a streaming service, like you mentioned, or you could even partner with others. Paramount's streaming service is a subscription. It's not like the bonus thing like Disney Plus is doing. Like even if Paramount partnered with Amazon or someone like that to be like, we're going to have movies, or friggin' I think Fandango has like streaming is like hooks you up with some streaming as well. Streaming is not the future. Streaming is what we do. It's what we did when COVID started, and I feel like these are bad moves for companies that have properties that, like, I know people who forgot that there was another James Bond movie coming out because the hype.
I honestly haven't thought about it in months.
Yeah. Because the hype can only stay so high, and then it's like, oh, that trailer came out. Oh yeah, there's a new James Bond movie. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You can't go.
Yeah, I remember that trailer was dope.
It's really good. I think they just had a new one come out as well, and Whitney didn't know Rami Malek is in it, so she's excited about that. She was already gonna see it because it's gonna be good.
October 8th, so still on pace. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to watch this final trailer later.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be his last one, right?
Yes. I think he said that during the last one as well, but this is.
Well, I guess money talks.
Yeah, money talks. Yeah. And if this doesn't do well enough, then this will be his last one. I don't know. Well, I'm excited.
The only thing that I'll say is that with as much as I want the streaming thing, after what happened, and we've talked about it more than once now with ScarJo, I'm like, they do definitely need to rework these actors' contracts and stuff, because I do want the actors getting the money. I want the people who worked on it getting them. I don't know who doesn't get money when it comes to the streaming thing, aside from the major company that owns everything. We know that they get the money. Are the grips getting the money? Are the technicians getting the money? Are the editors, the producers getting the money? The sound technicians? Are all those people getting money from streaming? I want to make sure that stays intact, but otherwise, give me all the streaming, bro. I will give you $30 every month to watch something.
Yeah. So I believe that below a certain level, no one's getting points on how successful a movie did or what have you. Now,
that's true.
Now that they may not be getting money, but if a movie does very well and you are responsible at whatever level you are, that's more likely because it looks really good on your resume, but it's not monetary. So, but I agree, because we're in a system now where where people are being paid, rightfully so, for their performance. We weren't going to see a Black Widow movie. If they did a Black Widow movie that was not ScarJo, would you have seen it?
No.
I mean, she not created the character.
It's her character.
It's her character since Iron Man 2. And yes, we can talk about she didn't create the character. She's not the first person to
Who is
first
she?
person
Spider-Man
visually. But I mean, she was in like 8 movies as this character, and if we're going to now have her standalone movie, it has to be her. Pay her, and the performance was great as well. I will say that I think Florence Pugh was a little bit better in it, but she's just amazing. But people didn't go to see it because of her. People went to see it because of Black Widow, because of what Scarlett Johansson did for that character and with that character in those movies. So pay her. I know that, and I got to say, hats off to DC. I mentioned this on the show. DC paid Patty Jenkins and Gal for Wonder Woman because they knew it wasn't going to do as well, so they gave them a little bit of money that would have been for the theatrical points. So they got a little bit of buffer, and that was to me, I almost look at that as like a good faith. Like, it was $1 million a piece, I think, which is a good amount of money, but that's also a tiny bit for them, for the studios. Yeah. That's a thank you, and please, let's please continue this respectfully, because the studio is not going to make as much money, but they made money on those rentals, and HBO, they didn't. HBO gave that stuff away for free. So
yeah, and if anybody couldn't figure out, the video game news is a little bit light this week, so I'm also just feeling some other nerdy things. But there's obviously the stuff going on in the world is not over, and what I can at least say in terms of our show is that this is a good problem to have. For us as consumers, the fact that Premier Access has become a thing, the fact that I was able to watch Suicide Squad, which I was never going to watch, probably, at least not for some time. The fact that probably, and who knows when I was going to pay for it either, because I just haven't thought much of DC. Now, Titans, I'm loving. I think it's dope. It's made me want to watch Doom Patrol. I want to see how good their other television show is. And that brings us around to the video games. Dude, I looked at my played so far. I'm up this year. I am, for like the last 2 years, I've had the same amount of games played. I'm over 50 games that I've touched.
I think I'm at half. And you got.
You know me. I also drop stuff, but
yeah. But I'm glad to see that, though, because you've found that kind of balance, with the kid and everything. You found a way to balance that out and still be a good father, and I think that's part of it right there. Being able to play in handheld. We talked about the Switch. I talked about my Razer Kishi. You've talked about your Backbone. For those of you who don't know, those are devices you can hook up to your phone to play mobile or stream. But
I've been playing some Hollow Knight with my Backbone.
Yeah. So you're playing Hollow Knight on the Xbox?
PS5.
PS5. Okay.
So streaming PS5 to my phone. I've also been playing it on the console, but so this was my 12 for 12.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week, how I might have switched it to BioShock based on this book club that I'm in, but the book club voted for Control, which I played last year. So I was like, all right, let's go back to my original plan. Hollow Knight, Metroidvania, much praised by the gaming community. A lot of people's favorite game ever, a lot of people's favorite Metroidvania ever. I am let's say journeyman in terms of where I am with Metroidvanias. I haven't beaten every one of them, but I enjoy playing them. They're always a good time. I'm super pumped about Metroid Dread. It makes me want to try and get the Switch LED now, where I was not going to get it before. The previews for that game, I want that game as pretty as it possibly can be, so I'm going to be trying to get that. But dude, have you played this game at all, first of all?
I have not. It's been one that kept going on my back burner, and then for some reason I was confusing it with Shovel Knight. I think because they're 2D and they both say Knight on them.
You've played Shovel Knight, right?
I played Shovel Knight, yeah. I love Shovel Knight, yeah. So this is one that I do need to check out. Again, that's why we're doing 12 for 12, because these games just sit in our backlogs. I own it.
I got it for $7 like 2 years ago.
I'm gonna put it on my next 12 for 12, by the way.
So, dude, this game is fun.
Yeah.
It plays so well. The controls are fluid. The attacking feels good. The art style is gorgeous. The music is gorgeous. It is so good. I do have some minor gripes, but in terms of like the things that are good about it, it's just one of those games that's immediately fun to play. As you're jumping around, you're hitting stuff with your nail, whatever your sword, but they call it a nail.
Yeah.
In this, first of all, the story is very Souls-like, where if you want to find it, it's there.
Okay.
Like the lore is hidden throughout the world, and you can find all these like cryptic looking things. So there is like a story, but this game is a game. This game is meant to just be played and enjoyed. The bosses are challenging. I just beat the second boss earlier today on my lunch, so I'm 2 bosses in.
Nice.
I'm digging it. I'm having a great time. So the gripes that I have, there's some backtracking when you die. So all Metroidvanias have backtracking. That's natural. That happens.
Yeah.
But if you die to a boss, you get thrown back to your last save bench. And so if you haven't sat on a bench in a while, you might have to do a lot of walking. That's frustrating in itself. You also have these things called charms that are things that you equip. Apparently, I was told that later on, if you were able to change them as much as you want to, you would be quite overpowered. So you can't change charms unless you're sitting on a bench.
Okay.
And that is a little annoying. But again, somebody told me that if there's some OP charms that you get later, where if you were able to just switch them during a boss fight, then the boss fight wouldn't be challenging. So I get what they're doing. And then the thing that is absolutely the most frustrating thing to me is that it doesn't give you a map. You have to go buy the map from a guy in each zone, and you have to find him within the zone, buy the map from him, and then you have to wear a charm to make yourself show up on the map, which if it's not equipped, you can't equip it till you get to the bench.
Oh, that's odd. Yeah.
And so I get frustrated by the fact that like we've been talking about, I can play for an hour at a time, half an hour at a time, and if I don't have the map for that area, I'm like, I don't know where I am, dude.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere, and so I really have to focus on that part, or at least before I stop playing, try and find the map at least.
Yeah.
But
you mentioned the boss area, like you mentioned like resting on the bench. And like if you die during a boss, like is it apparent? Now this is an odd question, but is it apparent that you're going to be in a boss area, or is it kind of organic where you kind of walk into an area and there's a boss fight going on?
If you have on the first boss, if you have the map, you know where the boss is.
Okay.
On the second area though, you kind of find her and she keeps running away from you, and eventually you stop and find her. I didn't know the room that she was going to be in. Okay. So I definitely stumbled upon. I actually went around her several times. I was looking for her. I went to the rooms above her. I actually went to the rooms before her, and I was like, where the crap? And then it just turns out that I missed a doorway, and I was like,
okay.
So it's not super apparent. The only thing that kind of tips you off is like sometimes there's like a long hallway. Like it's like you're doing a little walking before you get up there, but there's no bench right next to at least the 2 that I've had.
Yeah.
There was one a few rooms below her and that I actually didn't find the first time, and so I died and was very far away and was a little upset, because you know how I get upset. I get upset. But that speaks to how fun the game is to play. The fact that I've gotten upset more than once and have still kept on playing.
Yeah. Well, I know playing games like I played a little bit of Ori and Will of the Wisps, and I think I played like a couple hours of it, and it's gorgeous. And very Metroidvania in regards to like the map and like unlocking stuff. So of course it rewards exploration, but like the bosses kind of surprised me. and then and then having to redo it, I guess. And I'm thinking of like how much backtracking is that, because also you and I like to, like, before we're kind of done in an area, we like to kind of like go through every corner, make sure everything's done, and then progress through the boss if we could. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just kind of getting in the mindset. I love the animation style though. You said that the combat's smooth, so
it just feels good to play. It also there's a charm apparently that you can buy that prevents it, but if you're not wearing the charm, there is knockback damage, and I do have a thing about how knockback damage should have died in the 90s.
Knockback damage, like, so you knock back and then you get damaged because you hit something, or what do you mean?
That has happened several times. Yeah. So if you get hit, you get knocked back. You know, like just like old school Castlevania. Where you get damaged by an enemy and you can then fall in a pit or something like that. Yeah. It's knockback damage. So there is a charm that you can wear that prevents that, but again, it's not something that you can switch out on the fly. And so I've been keeping like my map charm on, and another one that like helps you heal. But I hope I stick with this game. I have a habit of just getting tired of things, but I've already played more of this than when I started the game I thought that I was going to, if that makes sense. I just heard so many people's opinions about how the game functioned that I was like, okay, I'm not going to like this game. But I like being wrong. I like that I do like this game. It's so much fun.
And that's one thing about the 12 for 12 is we're getting to dive into games that they haven't been ones that we actively were like, I can't wait to play this game, and you play it within the couple weeks or a couple months. These are ones that have been on our back burner. This has been on your back burner for what, over a year, right?
2 years. I bought this during a Black Friday sale, I think 2 years ago for $7.
Yeah. So and our rules, for those of you who don't know, we do our backlog, our 12 for 12 games in 12 months. It's supposed to be a game. We decided on this list before this year started, and dude, it's like 3/4 of the way through 2021 at this point. So we know we've owned these games for that long and haven't played them. Dig into your backlog. You got all those games. Steam library aside, you probably have 200-300 games. I think I have over 500 on PlayStation. I don't even know how many I have on Xbox. But yeah, go through that backlog.
Game Pass doesn't count unless you bought it before, by the way.
Game Pass does not count, but I do love me some Game Pass. Haven't played a lot of the PlayStation now, but I've been playing a lot of Game Pass because they put so many good games on there. Speaking of good games, I'm going to bounce around just a little bit here because we had a developer talk on Dead Space, and I finally got to watch a little bit of this today, just a little bit. But the fact that they were like, hey, here's some early stuff that we're working on just to show you what we're testing. I love that they did this because I don't think most developers want to show how the sausage is made, if you will. They don't want to show the process because usually the process, it's not flattering. The graphics don't look so good, but that's not the point. The point is what they did with the characters and like the different ideas. I thought was really cool. To me, it's like it was gutsy for them to be like, "Hey, look at what we're working on," and it wasn't like it didn't have to be the flashiest like pedal to the metal like look how cool this thing is. It was look at the limb damage. That's something we're really proud of what we're doing in this. I like.
And notice how they did this. Like we didn't get a 10-minute lesson on trebuchets during a major showcase. They specifically like set this aside, as far as I know, right? This wasn't a part of like a bigger stream, or was it?
No, it was not part of a bigger stream. It was just kind of a side thing. It's a long stream, but this was specifically like I want to say this is like 40 minutes. I'll have to double check.
They did 40 minutes on Dead Space. See, this is what I'm talking about. So this is where it's thing of, if you want this developer deep dive, here is a developer deep dive for you to watch. It's not a part of the showcase. By the way, I'm praising EA here. Is what's happening in this particular moment, because they didn't make that a part of the thing. They were like, here's just a deep dive on what we're doing, guys. You want to watch it? Cool. We're here for it. You don't want to watch it? All right, we'll see you later. No problem. Oh, they let Ka Jenkins host it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Love Ka. He runs a cool podcast called Spawn on Me. If anybody's ever checking that out.
Sorry, I kind of zoomed in here because I was going to show more of the gameplay. But that's one thing that I also liked was the hosts and panelists, if you will, that got to talk on there. Not only knowledgeable, but like also like it added to the entertainment while they're showing this kind of stuff. And I think there were also people who'd appreciate it, like we do when we see something like this and we know what they're getting at with what they're showing us. Whoops, wrong button.
The only thing that I can say, it was funny. The only thing that I can say about this is just, I don't know, man. Like, I'll be really curious on what the final product ends up looking like. But like, whenever they were showing some of like what I would consider like the best looking shots, like, does it look that much better than the original Dead Space to you, bro?
So that's why I pulled this up, because I was like, you know what? Let's see what the original Dead Space looked like. Here's Dead Space.
Just some character models for sure.
Yeah, so the character models, I think that one Dead Space is, you know, dark and gloomy and stuff, but here's some it's nowhere near high def. I want to say that ran at like 540 on the Xbox, because it didn't run in even 720. If you want to double check me, I'm pretty sure that was the case. It looks, I mean, the character models look better. There's a good spot there where you can see, like, this is what they started with was, come on, gets dark there. Not only the character models, but like the detail and everything. I think lighting here does it covers up a lot of the flaws in the original Dead Space, but that's not flashy, and it's not high def. It's not HDR. If you did high def and HDR on this, that'd be nice, but the textures that they're doing on this is better, and it's probably going to play a little tighter.
I'm only finding like PC. It launches in 800 by 600. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep in mind, Halo and Halo 2.
Windows 95 flashbacks, 800 by 600.
Dude, Halo, sorry, not Halo. Halo was original Xbox. Sorry, Halo 2 was on Xbox 360, right?
360, yeah.
Yeah. Halo 2 was not in 720, dude. Halo 2 was below 720, even though the Xbox could outpulse it. So
I'm thinking about going back and playing the original 3. I don't care about 4 and 5, but since Master Chief Collection's on Game Pass, I've thought about booting them up at some point.
But that's what I like about like these. I feel like this is kind of the preservation aspect of like of these games that we really enjoy. Let's polish them. Let's make them look a little better, keeping the core of what that game is. Like Diablo is a great example of it, and I can't wait to play it again because I played it on the beta. I can go back and play that.
Rip.
And it feels like I was like I feel like I was playing it back, you know, when it first came out, because I'm that old. I feel like that, but the graphics look like I imagine they should have looked then, and they couldn't have looked. So, did you say rip? Did you lose the stream?
Yeah, I lost you for a minute, but you know,
that's okay. Well, I was just talking about the gaming preservation. I can't wait to play some Diablo 2.
Yeah, there's definitely that aspect. It's more to me. I think what I'm questioning is like, should it have been just a remaster where maybe it didn't take as much time, like versus a ground up remake. But you know, I guess I do appreciate from one aspect, like they want to do Dead Space right, and maybe what they're also trying to do is with a ground up rebuild, they're trying to see if they can make it a thing again, because you know Dead Space wasn't that popular. Like the first Dead Space I think did like okay, but it's more of what, like, as much as we all know it, let's see if I can find like the sales. Dead Space debuted, eventually sold over 1 million. So the first one, as good as it was, took a while to even push 1 million copies. So it could be a thing where they're like, okay, let's remake it from the ground up for a 2021, 2022, whenever it's going to come out, audience. Let's see if we can make it a franchise again, because we had something there, and they really did had something. Like it it is like premier horror genre game. So now that I've said that, I take it back. I get why they're rebuilding it. Like, I think that means that they are opening themselves up to be like, let's make this a thing, because they see what Resident Evil's doing lately, and Resident Evil's just banking, dude. Like, those are selling 2, 3, 4, 5 million copies, I think.
And I'm concerned. I'm concerned with what Resident Evil's doing, and that's actually going to segue into our next bit, because I love Resident Evil. I loved Village. I love the different take that they're doing here with Resident Evil.
4.5 for Resident Village.
Okay. I'm surprised. I thought it was a little higher than that, because like it seemed to be just so hot. Like so many people were playing it.
This was as of July, so it's probably pushed a little bit more.
Okay. My concern though is the game did well, and they licensed out so much of this. And we just got the first like pictures of Welcome to Raccoon City, which is the Stephen Amell.
Terrible, dude.
And I'm like, I don't think
Wait, Stephen Amell's in there?
Yeah, that's him on the right. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm not making fun of Stephen Amell, by the way. Anybody who knows me knows I was a big Arrow fan.
Yeah. I was gonna say like I'm like, this is a franchise that I love. This doesn't look
Robbie
too great.
Amell did.
I thought it was Stephen. Oh.
Robbie's playing Chris Redfield.
My bad.
Yeah, Robbie's the worst actor. So.
Okay, well then this is fitting. I love the franchise, but this doesn't look good. And it's not to be confused, by the way. This is the Welcome to Raccoon City movie, not to be confused with the new Netflix TV series that's supposed to premiere later this year.
I have way more confidence in that.
I do too. No connection. This is my problem. We have no connection between this and that movie. They're not in the same universe, and it's not to be confused with the animated TV show, the animated series that they just launched.
You watched that yet?
I watched the first episode, and I was it's hard, man. It's painful. Like, as a Resident Evil fan, it's painful to watch it. It could be so much better. Also, this is not. Sorry, I think this may be tied to the other movies. I can't even remember. There were some straight to DVD, straight to streaming movies, and also don't forget that none of this is related in any way to the Mila Jovovich movies. So the confusion. I feel like they're doing what DC did. Yeah. But even like, you know what? It's exactly what DC did, because DC's animated stuff is not tied to DC's TV shows, and the TV shows are not tied to the movies. It's the same thing DC did, and I feel like, as much as I love Resident Evil, this is stretching it thin. This is stretching it really thin.
This is one of those things where you can see that Capcom is clearly like, we have a bag right now. I mean, like I said, Resident Evil 8 sold 4.5 million. I know Resident Evil 3 Remake did not do as well as Resident Evil 2 Remake, but they've been, Capcom's been on a roll with that franchise. Like, they've been on a roll, period, by the way. Like, they've been having a great generation, and probably, like, are poised to continue on a great new generation now, too. So they're probably just like, what, you want to make it? Okay.
I mean, I get that, but pace it. Okay,
I know. Because it's frustrating to see, I'm sure, from your perspective.
This is supposed to come out this year. This is supposed to come out in December.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the Netflix series is allegedly supposed to come out this year. What's that?
Is that Jill?
I don't know. No, I think so. I don't know.
I don't know the Resident Evil characters as well as you.
I mean, it's either Jill or Claire. I don't know.
Is it Jill Valentine? I don't know. See.
Yeah, Claire Redfield and Jill Valentine are the two characters you're thinking of.
Hey, look at that. I don't know which character it is then. I don't know what their iconic looks are.
It's Claire.
This, to me, looks like it's supposed to be Resident Evil 2, right?
Yeah, so that's Claire. Jill would...
Because Resident Evil 2 takes place inside of Raccoon City,
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Resident Evil 1 is outside of the city, and it's an outbreak in the mansion, and then 2 is like, oh crap, they took over the city. So this is Claire. It's been a long day, but yeah, it's my problem is, even as a fan, I'm like, this is not tied to, it makes it hard to be excited, because I have to differentiate, like, which one am I excited about? And then if I talk to people about it, I have to specify, and that's just weird. They're coming out the same year, and we just had the animated thing come out. So having this movie and the TV show coming out so close together, I'm like, pace it. I mean, I don't care which one's which. Like, have one come out like next spring. That would be enough time to like give it a rest, let it breathe a little bit. Even Marvel's letting some stuff breathe a couple months, even though people were hungry after Wanda. People were hungry for Loki. Like, and sorry, I skipped Captain America and the Winter Soldier, like, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, we were hungry one after another. We were good with it, and Marvel spent this much time with this much fan base. Resident Evil doesn't have that. So I feel like my franchise may see a plummet specifically because there's so much Resident Evil coming out, and it doesn't look that great.
I can say, though, I know you probably don't have any of the screen grabs, because I don't even know if there are any screen grabs, but what did happen yesterday as a follow-up to that, The Last of Us pilot got wrapped.
I did not have any of those. So they wrapped okay, they just filmed the pilot and that was it. That makes sense.
Yeah, so the guy who was directing the pilot was I want to say, and I'm really bad because he has a strange name, and so Kantamir Balagov.
Okay.
He is, I believe, the guy who directed the Chernobyl series. And so he's not going to be on for the show, but they had him direct the pilot.
Okay.
I think Druckmann is helping write the series for TV. And so those things excite me. I didn't watch Chernobyl. It's not my bag, but my wife loved it, said it was amazingly shot. Even listened to the podcast that was produced alongside the show. If you haven't listened to that, so there's even more to go with the show.
Yeah.
There's a podcast out there. So since he's involved with the pilot, since they're trying to start strong with this series, that's where I'm happy to see Sony taking care of literally, probably their biggest IP in The Last of Us, right? That's got to be their biggest IP, right? Other than God of War.
Yeah, it's not only is it one of their biggest, if not one of the biggest IPs, whichever. It's also one that lends itself well to cinema, in my opinion, or into
based on how Naughty Dog does their games.
Yeah. So if we were saying, oh, we're going to do a Ratchet and Clank series, I would, and I love Ratchet and Clank. I'm just saying it doesn't lend itself as well to a long form series like The Last of Us is going to be done. Ratchet and Clank, again, like I'm just saying, it just doesn't lend itself. Same thing with Spider-Man. If they said, I'm wearing a Spider-Man TV shirt, I'm wearing a Spider-Man shirt. If they said we're going to do a Spider-Man animated show based on the game that we did, I still don't think that would have as much longevity and as much fuel, if you will, like to do an adaptation of that game in an animated form. Just play the game or go watch the cinematics on YouTube.
I think fun fact was that they did make a movie for Ratchet and Clank, but I think that at one point that there was an order for a TV show for Ratchet and Clank, but I can't say if it ever saw the light of day or not, or maybe I'm thinking of Sly Cooper. One of those franchises Sony did want to make a show off of, and then it just never, I don't think it ever came to fruition. And not to sidetrack from the video games a little bit, just knowing that our resident wrestling fan on the podcast, there's only two of us on the podcast, but Patrick is the resident wrestling fan. Heels, dude, not bad.
Yeah.
Over on Star, Stephen Amell, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but decent show.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, and it doesn't take a lot for me to. If it's well done and it's wrestling, then I'm in. I
would just wait for the season to finish and do the 7-day free trial.
That would work. Glow was great. It's telling stories about wrestlers. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. So I'm definitely going to check it out. You like it, and I've heard other people say that. I
actually need to watch this last weekend's episode, but I wanted to throw that out to you just because I know you probably don't carry stars unwritten. I don't either. No. But like I said, I like Stephen Amell, and so that's the reason that I am watching this show.
Yeah.
Is because I'm willing to follow that dude's career.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. Oh, we have the heat sink thing. I was like, what else is there in the news? The only other thing that I want to do that, we could talk about the heat sink thing, but only because you mentioned that you're going to be traveling though. This right here, man, is a game changer for adults on the Switch. This is I think the company is Satisfy, and it is a Zen handset, but it just slides, like the Switch just slides into it.
Yeah.
And it's basically just extends the grip, but I went from not being able to really play my Switch in handheld mode to I played 30 hours of Skyward Sword with no problem. Like the first day I tried to play Skyward Sword, my hands were hurting because I wanted to play the whole thing in handheld. I wanted to just be able to sit there next to my wife and play a game while she was doing whatever. And I immediately ordered this. It was like $20 on Amazon with a coupon, and I haven't taken it off since. It's so good.
Yeah, I see a few different ones. So
and it's like some different colors.
Yeah, there's some different colors. There's one that, like, if you don't have a case, I have a case. But if there's a bonus because the case will actually fit your Nintendo Switch and the Joy-Con, the Satisfy gaming grip. So that's kind of cool. I already have a case. The grip would probably go in my backpack or something because I don't think it's going to get really beaten up.
No.
I mean, because the grip is just extending. There's nothing mechanical in the grip like the. No. Okay, cool. Because it's
literally just the Switch slides into it, and perfect. So.
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about
just can take it off.
Perfect. Yeah. And so you don't have to worry about like for the Kishi and for example like that. I'm going to put in a place that's not going to get mashed up against my laptop and books and stuff like that. It's going to go in a place that's a little bit safer. I don't have a case for it, but this I feel like I could throw in the with my like in my suitcase with my cables and stuff, and it's not going to be a big deal. I need to get that.
It's been nice, since I beat Skyward. Like I bought this game for $5. I'm not really big on city builders, but this one was pretty much a goalless city builder. There is like a game over mode where if you run out of score, but you can also just take that mode away. But it's called The Islanders. It's some game that's on PC, but they made a console edition. It was $5 on Switch. I literally just boot that up like 30 minutes before bed, play it for like 10 or 15 minutes, build some city out, and just kind of chill out. That's kind of what I've been doing on the Switch lately. But it's been that much nicer to she'll just be watching the news or something, and I'm just
it's something you can chill out and zen, have a little bit of zen on it. And that's what I like about the Switch. I know we talk about it a lot, but being able to hit that button and take care of life.
It's just amazing the turnaround that I can have, dude. Like six months ago, we were talking about I haven't turned my Switch on, can't touch it, can't play anything in handheld because everything looks so pretty on the TV. And then I play the entirety of Until Dawn in handheld on through PS5 Share on my phone. I've been playing Hollow Knight through PS5 Share on my phone. I'm playing this Islanders. I play the Zelda in handheld. It's this cyclical thing where it's sometimes I need my 55-inch TV. Sometimes I just want to sit there and I want to be like a little kid again with my Game Boy here. It's funny how that just goes in these circles. So for a little while, I'm going to be praising the handheld days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be leaning in on it. I'm traveling next week. I'm traveling 2 weeks from that, and then I think 3 weeks after that. It's back to back. I'll be in town the week of the 20th, so we can do the show live
it's my
together.
birthday that week.
Is it 23rd? When is your birthday?
The 25th, so Saturday.
25th.
Oh,
Okay.
My birthday's on a Saturday this week.
Dude, there you go. I'll be in. So that's later this month. So I'll be in for our show on the 22nd. We can do from your place if you're cool with that.
Probably.
Cool. Probably. All things considered.
you don't answer that until you've talked with the spouse. You don't just be like, hey, somebody's gonna come over for a couple hours, all right?
Yeah.
No, you gotta run it by.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Well,
Get,
and especially, I mean, to accommodate, it doesn't happen that often. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you get some stuff done before and after, and be like, oh, we're going to do this. Yeah, I get it. You got to talk them.
you just gotta include them on the decision. You
Of
can't
course.
just be like, hey, this is happening.
Of course.
Of course, if you guys and gals don't want to get divorced. If you want to get divorced, then just make all the decisions yourself.
Yeah.
So.
At the same time, what you want to do is important, but when it affects your spouse, you gotta bring them in on the decision. Yeah, and we'll talk about we'll do more marriage tips next week.
You gotta keep things chill. So you got to make sure that you keep a large heat sink into your marriage.
Yeah, exactly. So what we had this week, and I have the video queued up as well because a lot of this stemmed from a breakdown of the new PS5 model. That's what we're talking about here. The new iteration of the PS5. There's no difference in regards to graphics.
Not a different SKU.
It's just a slight difference in hardware. And the big scuttlebutt this week that everyone is talking about is that heatsink, the new one is on the right, is smaller than the heatsink in the old model, which is on the left. So on the right. So that's to dissipate heat out of the CPU, out of the GPU, so that way they can stay cooler. People looked at this, and at first I was thinking about it as well. I'm like, it's less copper, it's less of a heat sink. This is going to be a problem. And I did queue it up for the spot in the video because I want to point this out. But in the video that everyone's been talking about has been from Austin Evans' video, and he did this test where he is testing the heat coming out of the PS5. He's not testing the heat inside of the PS5. So if it's doing a good job and it is getting in between the heatsink and the fan and getting the heat out, and it's not too hot inside, no big deal. As long as you don't have something like that's I don't know, that can melt. If you're storing chocolate behind your PS5, I don't know. That's the only reason I would be concerned at this point. It doesn't seem like this heatsink difference, and I only queued it up because I wanted to show that. But the heatsink on the right is not. It's smaller, but the CPU. That's right. I put some red circles in here. That's where the CPU goes.
Red circles.
Yeah. So the CPU goes there, where the red circle is. The CPU is covered by the sink, and then it dissipates from there. That's the whole point of that extraness. So if the CPU is covered and it's getting the heat away from the CPU efficiently, okay. I think that everyone was sky is falling, saying like this was going to make sure you grab one of the old PS5s instead of the new ones. I'm not saying that there's that there's no difference, but I'm saying I don't think Sony made this decision lightly. It's slightly cheaper, but they're not going to have a fiasco of melting PS5s going on. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I the only thing from a layman's perspective that I can think of is like, to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that I have the bigger one. Only because I feel like from a longevity perspective that I expect the one that has the bigger heatsink is probably taxing my CPU a little less.
Yes.
But then again, you never know with what they do with firmware updates on, I'm sure that, and like you said, Sony doesn't make these decisions lightly. Yeah. They're very particular with how they handle their stuff. You can see how, like, just with how they designed this thing to begin with, even though like it is colossal and everything, they designed it to not have that jet engine problem that they had in the PS4. They designed it to give you that performance and stuff, so they know what they're doing. So there's probably like some tweaks that they can make in there with like the fans and everything, and they even indicated that like they're not everything is being used to its full potential yet. They're still kind of discovering what the PS5 can do. So I can say that I probably like having the bigger one, but I can also probably say like, who cares? Like, that's what I would argue. And I talk about longevity, like I'm not going to get whatever the PS5 Pro is that they put out in like 3 years.
I will say the fan is actually one thing that I'm considering looking at. There's a couple people online, Spawnwave and a few others, who are looking at like, okay, well, we have an old PS5. The fan in this one is different, by the way. In the new PS5, the fan is different. This is the old one. If you're watching, this is the old PS5 breakdown. The fan is either different or it's a specific model of fan in the new one, where the old PS5 has 3 different fans. So there's a couple people who are looking to say, well, the fans are all compatible if you're willing to do the surgery, if you will. The fans are all compatible. So is there a better fan you could, out of those 3 or this 4th? I don't know if it is a 4th. If there's a better fan, maybe I'll look at putting that thing in. Again, knowing I would be breaking my warranty when I do that. But if I'm already at that point, if I've had the PS5 for a while and I have the PS5 Pro, maybe I do that little upgrade on my old PS5 to get that longevity, right? But I'm not scared about it. I'm not scared about it melting, but 2, if it is, I'm under warranty. So I did get a warranty. I don't do it very often, but I did get a warranty on these because they're new. It's the new consoles, and we got the first
PS5
gen.
also has like its standard.
Yeah,
I think it's probably a standard 1-year warranty.
It's a
in
1
terms
year.
of like as long as you're not breaking that little seal and stuff, which I haven't yet. I haven't had the fan problem that some people have had, where there's like literally like some little piece of foil or something that's just hitting the fan that got loose or something. You remember that?
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't had that happen, and people were complaining about fan noise. Honestly, I haven't heard a lot of fan noise. Maybe I got the better fan. I haven't looked because there's one that's like the better fan that you can have. My disc is loud, but you know that.
Yeah, the disc drive is noticeably like loud, and that's where like if I'm not playing disc games, half the time I pull it out. But then again, these days I really don't care. Like I can't hear it over my speaker, so as long as there's nothing that's ever going to sound like my PS4 did. So as long as it doesn't get to that level of ridiculousness, then I'm probably pretty good. It's just, it's the internet, man. People got to find something to get up in arms about. I think that if you're getting one, whether it be today or a few months from now, the product is still probably going to be solid. I haven't had a problem with a PlayStation since the PS2 launch edition PlayStation. I did have a problem with the PS4 launch controller. I had the famous stick degradation, the cushion on the stick. If you had one of the early PS4 controllers, I did have that. I did replace the sticks on my launch PS4, which they've been fixed later. But they make a quality product, so if they decided that they wanted to make it a little bit smaller, maybe they're trying to. I bet half of it, dude. I bet half of it's shipping costs. Like with how much the shipping container is. I don't know if you have to deal with that in your industry at all, but shipping containers, for those who don't know where your stuff's coming from and why prices are going up, shipping containers are stupid right now. It's ridiculous. That's why there's like such a delay from smaller companies shipping things over, is because to put things in a container right now is ridiculous. So I imagine there's probably something to making things lighter, and I don't know if that counts at all in terms of like the weight, but it's
300 grams lighter. So I think that was the catch. So 300 grams lighter if you have 100 of these. I mean, it all adds up. And that's how Walmart and other companies like built their businesses on those thin margins. But you have to look at, like, if you can ship it for less and it doesn't tax the system. And also the manufacturers, they're not looking for these systems to last your entire life. I mean, they manufacture the thing to last. I think they look at them in probably ballpark at 10 years is my guess, in regards to like hardware, in regards to normal hardware failure. They're not made like to last forever. So if they're looking at that going, it'll probably last 10 years, if that still puts it in that ballpark, they're going to make that change. And I will say the internet's being critical when there was very similar iterations with the Xbox and the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3. There's the smaller and smaller and smaller PlayStation 2 What were they cutting out? They're cutting out heat sinks. I mean, that's one of the reasons it's so big. If you took the heat sink out in the disk tray, that thing is very thin, but you have to dissipate the heat one way or another. So if this does it more efficiently, cool. I don't think it should slow anyone down from buying, slow anyone or stop anyone from buying PS5. I'm not going to buy a second one yet, but I've like had that moment where I'm like, I kind of want one in here and one in the living room, but I'll probably get a Series S before that happens, because at $300, and if that thing goes on sale for Black Friday, think about if that went on sale for Black Friday for like $250 for a Series S. I think I'd buy it immediately.
I'd be interested in it anyway. I don't know I don't need it.
That's your perfect bedroom or whatever, or like if you have like a game room or something. It's like it's your throwaway. Like, oh, just put that off in this with this. You'll be able to stream with it and be able to play games and not have to worry about discs. It's
the perfect treat yourself machine, really, for in cases like ours where like. We can come up with justification for anything. I have my Steam Deck pre-ordered still, for crying out loud, and I have no use for that. I don't even have a Steam library, dude. I have next to no Steam games.
But if you can play Xbox games off of it, that's gonna be really cool.
The thing that I need to know is, so Phil said that you can do it, and that's because the Steam OS has a browser, and so it's running through the Steam browser
through xCloud.
I want to know, xCloud. I would also want to know, because I'm not gonna do the thing that a lot of people are gonna do. A lot of people are gonna get way more out of the Steam Deck than I am, because I'm not gonna wipe the OS and deal with putting Windows on there. That's just not for me. I want, you know me, just like with consoles, I want you to give me the product, and then I'll use the product. That's what I want you to do. So I would hope that Epic also finds a way to get into Steam OS, because that would be cool, because I do have a ton of free Epic games.
Yeah, no, that would be nice. I have not pre-ordered it because I'm pacing myself, and I talked about this on a polo. Like, there's things that I want to buy, and I'm pacing myself, and I'm glad that I did, because there was something I was considering buying that I realized there are AV receivers that are out that said, oh, it does HDMI 2.1. Turns out there's a bug in the chipset, but they're out. They were shipped, so people bought them. It doesn't do it, so they're literally giving you a box that'll convert it, which means you got to plug your Xbox into a box that converts it and then goes into your. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, if I'm buying a product, I want it to work. Like you were saying, I'm buying the thing, I want it to do the thing that I want it to do. So I'm pacing myself with that purchase and a couple others, and to kind of give myself that kind of like, all right, well, you work hard, you play hard. This is my carrot, my carrot at the end of the stick, if you will. And those are pricey. So Steam Deck has not been pre-ordered. I'll probably wait and see if other people are really, really enjoying it. Maybe I'll get it.
I'm going to be your guinea pig. Is that it?
You're going to be my guinea pig on this one. I have been very close, but I looked at it and went, if I'm pacing myself, pacing yourself meaning like you can buy 3 things like all at the same time, but is that responsible? Let's buy one, wait a couple months. Let's buy the next thing, wait a couple months. And if you're buying electronics, sometimes that works out for you, because you may be waiting for the new thing to come out and be like, that's better. So sometimes it works to be patient. Speaking of being patient, right before we end, that Galactus that I showed you did get fully backed. So that happened on Sunday or Monday, I can't remember. Fully backed, and at the same time, no coincidence, same time they just shipped the Sentinel that got backed this time last year. So that means I'll probably get my Galactus this time next year, is my guess. But that's what happened.
Did you get the Sentinel or just the Galactus?
No, I didn't get the Sentinel because
I didn't know what you were expecting.
I didn't know. I didn't know about it until after. Like, because I didn't have my fingers on the pulse on this stuff, and also the Sentinel, it was 300. What?
Sorry, Robert, in the chat. as we were talking about, he's like responsible. What was this word? What is responsible?
We're trying to be responsible. You know, we're big kids, but you know, we can. We gotta be a little.
I refinanced my mortgage this year. I can buy a Steam Deck.
I've considered doing that. You guys don't want to hear about that. I've considered doing that, but just kind of like I said, just pacing it. But
I mean, are you in the house that you bought how many years ago?
It was just over 2 years ago.
You still might be able to get a discount.
I have people coming at me.
Interest rates are stupid.
I have people coming at me about it. And I'm like, okay, if I stay here, that's great. If I don't stay here, I'm like, this could be a rental, easy. It would be great. So why not rent?
You do that 5+ years or not, and that's where we were like, we're going to stay here for at least 5 years. We paid to. Well, the Texas market sucks right now anyway. And so like we've even talked about, there's a company in Richardson that builds these add-on houses. We've talked about building like a little 8x8 or 9x9 or 10x10 little house in our backyard for her to have an art studio.
Yeah.
And just adding onto this house and then just being like, you know what? This is our house for a long time.
I've thought about doing that. Our bathroom, our master bath is mediocre. And I've thought about we're going to redo it, and part of the question was like, when we redo it, do we expand the house and make the bathroom bigger, and then make the closet considerably bigger as well, or his and hers closets? I don't know. It can go crazy, but that's even more money. We like spending money, but sometimes that's a lot of money. It can make you sick. But anyways, we'll talk more gaming next week and more adulting things. If you want to hear us talk about stuff that happens in our life, let us know in the comments what's happening in your life. What games are you playing? And we'll see you next time.